bring that down now. That's better. That's better. Okay. Right. Let's start again. We'll see if anybody joins us. Okay. Let me just make sure this is the right one this time. Oh, I think this is the wrong one. Bear with me 1 second. I don't think this is the one I'm looking for. Okay. Right, I can see people starting to join. Just making sure I'm in the right one this time. Right. Still haven't properly got my head around YouTube, so my apologies if it's all gone a bit haywire today. Okay, so I can see a few people starting to join. Please come on and say hello. I've got my chat down here so that I can see who's come on and who's said hello. Right, good evening and Friday evening, and we have at last got around to doing a Friday Night Live. I've been meaning to do one for weeks and weeks and weeks, but various things have been going on, and we are actually going to do it this week. So welcome to Friday Night Live, and welcome to the weekend. So I'm not going to sort of ramble on and on. What I'll do is I'll bring you down and we'll get going. Okay, so let me bring you down. For some reason we're always on a tilt. Right, so today we're going to carry on with the Morgana album that we've been doing on the Coffee and Crafts. So we've done the front cover and we've done some of our pages. We've got some cool cats curved slot dies there. We've made some pockets and we've made some things to go in the pockets. Then on Wednesday we made the picket fence pocket. We've made this rather pretty sort of waterfall, but it's one where you do it like that. I mean, you can pull it, but do it like that. We've made our own wallet die. So we're actually on the last 2 pages. So I thought we'd have a go at those today. So the first thing we're going to do is, again, with the Stamperia, I tend to be led by the papers. So, and I loved this paper and I didn't want to spoil the design of it. So what I'm going to do is create a deep pocket. And the way I'm going to do that is I've cut myself a piece of card, which is 8 3/4 by 6.5. So 8 3/4 by 6.5. And I'm sure you've seen these pockets done many, many times. So I'm not going to sort of take ages doing this. So I'm going to score. Hang on, I want a scorer that does a better score. I'm going to score down there, and then I'm going to score one with portrait at the top, and then another one landscape orientation, and each of those is 1/2 an inch. So thank you if you've come on to watch. Please type something in the chat, and then I'm going to just get rid of that and miter my corners. So I'm going to go in and round, in and round. Okay, and then I'm just going to gently, now this is 290 GSM, so it's a case of just bouncing it into shape, because it is quite a heavy card. And then once you're happy, just grab this, and I'm just going to burnish it. And you want to burnish it really, really well, because you want this to lie quite flat. Okay, so I'm just going to go around this edge and do the same thing again. So burnish it, just going in with the edge of my burnishing tool to really get a tight burnish on that. And then on the third side, and just bounce it into position, because it is quite thick, and we'll just burnish the third side. Now the reason I chose this size, and I could have had a much deeper one, was to do with the pattern of paper. So what I wanted to do was keep this bit, La Vive en Rose, well, whatever it is. My French was never very good. So I want to cut off the top 1.5 inches, and that will give me all of that top banner. So before I decided on the measurements for this, I looked at what I wanted to do with the paper. So I'm going to take that off from there, and then I'm left with this beautiful paper, this beautiful picture that I'm not going to do anything else with. I sort of ummed and ahed about putting photo slots. And I just thought, no, I like this just as it is. And sometimes, especially with the stamp area, you've got to be brave enough to say that is going to stay as it is. So I'm going to go round the outside. And as I've been saying on Coffee and Craft, these are vintage papers, so you can actually take your ink up onto the papers. Thank you, Denise. Yeah, do you know what? I absolutely agree. I really do love these papers. And I'm going to have to see if I can get some more and do some more with them, because I really do love these papers. So that then is going to go onto the front of my pocket. And ooh, I've misjudged it very slightly. How annoying is that? So I have misjudged that just slightly. So I'm just going to have to take a tiny little bit off the bottom. Oh, where's my... Oh, it's there. I thought I'd measured that so exactly. And this is what happens when you do a live. It doesn't matter how hard you try. Something always goes slightly askew. So, but I didn't want to get it all cut and ready beforehand. Sometimes people have said to me, I like to see things as you're doing it, which means you sort of see things warts and all. So that is going to go onto there like so. and it's just simply going to sit on the top like that. Now, as I say, you can do anything you like with it. You could put the Corkats curved or straight slots. You can put photo slots. But sometimes you just got to go, that's it. That's what I want from that. So I've now got the last page. And so my pocket is going to go on there like that. Now I think my paper is going to be just that bit short. It's not too bad. I can take the pocket up very slightly. And actually it's not too bad at all. Okay, I take that back. I was worrying then. So I'm just going to go around the edges of this as well before I forget. Okay, so I'll just go around the edge of this. Like so. And I could even, if I really felt so inclined, is move that pocket up, put that little bit as a border at the bottom, then have the pot. Do you know what? I'm inclined to do that. Yeah, I am inclined to do that. So the pocket doesn't go right to the bottom, but it will look better at the top. Let me just hold those in place. Yeah, I think so. So sometimes you just have to rethink things a little bit. So, and I think part of the fun of paper crafting is sometimes to go, whoops, how can I change this? How can I put this right? So I'm just going to run a tiny little bit of glue along there. And then that is going to sit there, like so. Okay. So now this is going to go slightly up. I don't think that's going to look too bad at all. And as I said, a lot of times, nobody knows what it was intended to look like. People will only see what you have created. The intention is never more than in your head. So if it doesn't end up like you intended it, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so I am going to line this up. Slightly more difficult to line it up because you're not going to the bottom. So I'm just lining up with these two top bits as well. So I do want to get it as straight as I can. Okay, I'm just going to press that down before I open it. And then pop my hand in there to hold that in place while I open it. It's always a good idea before you open it, just in case it slides, to do that. And then I'm going to get some black tape. And I'm just going to pop some black tape over the top. You can see there are some people watching. Thank you so much for giving up a bit of your time on a Friday night. Please come and say hello, say where you're watching from. Tell me what your favourite crafting is. Have you got any favourite papers at the moment? I am very, very much a Graphic 45 girl. I love Graphic 45, but sometimes just like to play with Stamperia because I love picture quality. I love Graphic 45. I love the patterns and I love the fact that you can actually do different things with it. But sometimes I like that big picture. So I've been chatting away and haven't really told you what I've done here. So I've put some black tape on here so that when you put something in, it's going to slide. It's not going to get caught on that seam there. Okay, so now I'm just going to run some glue up these sides here. Okay, on both sides. Now I am a wet glue person. Some people are tape. Personally, I am a wet glue. I don't have the confidence that I can actually get it absolutely right first time with tape. So I'm just going to very carefully run that down. Now I don't think that looks too bad, does it? Quite happy with that. It's a slightly different way of doing a pocket. Okay, and then this is going to slide in, and that's really the important thing. Slide it in and then pull it up, which was why I wanted to bring that up a little bit, because I did just want it to tuck just that tiny bit. So I'm going to put my glue on here. Okay, and I'm just going to slide that under both sides. Slide it into place so that it's level and just press that down. So that is a really simple pocket. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to make something to go inside that pocket as well. Actually, I do quite like that design with a little bit underneath. I know it was a sort of correcting a mistake, but I think it's worked out quite nicely. So I've cut myself a piece of black card at 7 by 7. And then what I did was I went through all my scraps and I found a scrap that was made up of sort of like planks. So I cut one of the planks and that's going to form the top. But before I do that, I am actually going to, curve the corners. Absolutely optional. You don't have to. I just like to neaten it up. So I've curved those top 2 corners and I'm going to curve 2 corners on here. Those bits in the bin. There is a bin, I'm not just throwing them on the floor. And I'm going to go round this. Although I have to say, a lot of the bits do end up on the floor. So, am I the only one who at the end of the day just has 100 of little bits all over their craft room floor? Right, now before I stick that on, what I've also done is I've cut a Cool Cats, a Cool Cats pull tab thing. Sure, it's got a better name than pull tab thing, but that's just what I call it. And I'm going to fold it in half. So, and then I've also cut 2 of the small circles, which I'm just going to go around the edge of, like so. And just going to pop a little bit of glue onto there. Thank you to those of you who are watching. And a little bit gone around the edges of that one. I haven't. Do that now. A little bit of glue on this one. Like so. And then I'm going to find, I could put some glossy accents on that, which would look really nice, but I'm bound to put my finger right in the middle of them before they dry if I do that live. So I'm going to go for the 7-inch, there we go, and just find my center point. If you haven't used these before, they are Cool Cat's centering tools, and they come in 1/8 of an inch increments. They do a smaller one as well, I find very useful. So now I'm just going to put some glue on here on both sides, and then pop that in the middle like so. Okay, and then this will cover that. Now I would actually do this on both sides of this, but I'm not going to do it tonight. I will do that another time. And then I've cut a piece of card 7 inches wide and just measured it to be the right size. So I've cut this in cream. This is all personal preference. You might want to go for a different colour. You might want to go for the whole thing in a pattern paper. Everybody has different ideas for this, but I'm just going to go for this for the moment. And then what I like to do is, if I can find one, and amongst all this, is to find a rub-on. I do love these rub-ons. And I think as we've got that lovely little table and chairs, I might go for this, because they've got this whole thing here. Don't know whether I'll go for the whole thing or whether I'll just take part of it. What do you think? I'm always interested to know what other people think. So let's get rid of that sticky bit. Oh, there we go. So I'm wondering, let's get this out of here. I'm wondering whether to go for the whole thing with the little arch, just to go for the table and chairs. Do you know what? I think I'm going to go for the whole thing. So let's cut it and see what we think. I think we could take that whole thing on there. I think that would work. So let me take it off its protective. I'm wondering whether to go for the middle actually. I normally go for the corner. I think this one would work in the middle. So I want I'm just going to go over all of this with my burnishing multi-purpose tool. Make sure I've gone over absolutely everything. I love rub-ons. I think I came quite late to the party on rub-ons, but now I've got them, I absolutely love them. So I think that probably will do. Always pull it off slowly. Then you can see if any is left on here. There's a tiny little bit left on there. Just go over that again. There's nothing more annoying than taking it all off in one go and then finding you've got bits left because you've got no way of lining it back up. So I think that's quite pretty. I quite like that. So I probably wouldn't put one on both sides, but I will decorate the other side. So then that goes in there like so. And that's where you're going to put your photos rather than spoiling your pattern. So now we've got the back of this page to do. And what I thought we'd do here is we'd make a little peephole flap. So I have done some of the cutting in advance, only because we don't want to hear the machine whirring around. So this is the walrus die from Cool Cats, and they've bought this one out with a flip flap. So I'm going to use the flip flap part of it Oops, let me just take that off there. So what I've done is I've cut the flip flap. So I think there's about 8 dies in this set. I don't know if it's close by. I can show you. It is. No. So there's about 8 dies in the set, and they sort of go down incrementally. But this one is a flip flap one. So making absolutely sure it's the right way up. I haven't trimmed this yet. I've trimmed the wrong one. I know I've trimmed a second one. So this is going to be 7.5 by 7.5 because the page is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. So I am going to take that because I don't want to make it uneven. So I'm going to take a little bit off both sides. Definitely took more off that side than the other side. And then a little bit off top and bottom. So take a little bit off the bottom. And then 7.5. Take a little bit off the top. You don't have to, you can take it all from one side or one, but I find with the pictures, it's best to try and even it up a little bit. Oh, something's just dropped off there. Let's hope I don't need it again. Okay, so this is now the right size to fit onto there. So what I'm going to do is go around the edges again. All the way around the edges. All the way around. And then before I stick it on, I'm just going to pull that back and just gently crease it. I'm not going to put a big fold in it, but I just want to see where that edge is because I am going to put some tape down that edge. And my reason for doing that is it's just adding that extra little bit of strength because you hope that people will be opening this quite a lot. So I'm just going to take it halfway back so that I've got plenty of wiggle room. I'm going to put my glue round the edge first, and then I'm going to go close but not on the edge, otherwise it squidges out, round those 3 edges and just a little bit inside. So double check you're the right way up and try and line it up. Remember that you've got tape, so try and line it up all the way around before you press it down so that you're happy it's straight. Okay, I'm happy with that. And then just gently pull your tape out from inside. So as I say, with these dies, you've got about 8. I wish I could just find them quickly, but as usual, when you want something quickly, you can find everything. Here we are, everything except. So here's the set of dies. They've been out a little while now, and they sort of alternate in size so that you can get quite a nice matten layer. So I've cut 2 pieces of patterned paper and 1 piece of black card out of the next size down. So I'm just going to pop that back in there. Gosh, I'm dropping everything on the floor tonight. Just put that there. So I want 1 piece to go inside there, and you can see that it just leaves a nice little tiny border. So I'm going to go round again with my ink, like so. And then these are the single-sided from the maxi packs. I love the fact that Stamperia are making these maxi pads now. Just wish they didn't call them that. Okay, I'm just going to push that down. Now this one I'm going to mount onto this piece of card. Now it is exactly the same size, so I'm going to mount it on and then go round with my ink. So that's going to go onto there, like so. Just give it a push down, and then I'm going to go around the edge. And that's because I cut the two together, and so there might be white bits from the paper on the card. So if you stick them together first, then you're going to catch the card and the paper. And then that is going to stick onto there. Again, you've got that nice little border, but you've got that real reinforcement on this. I'm just going to go around, all the way around, and pop that onto there. And now we just need something to hold this closed. So just give that a push down. So I'm going to make a little closure. So what I've got here are some cutouts from Cool Cat Stars. I'm just going to have a drink. So if I show you what I've used. So I've used the large hole die, and what I didn't do should have been I should have used one with a hole in, and I really daftly didn't. So I'm just going to have to cut another one of these in a piece of patterned paper, or I could do is probably just cut that and put the hole in it, because it's about the same size. So let me just do that very quickly. You see, however prepared I think I am, I'm never quite there, am I? I should have cut that one with a hole in, and I didn't. So I'm just going to run that through just to get that hole. There we go. That's got that hole in place. There we go. So I've got two of the black ones, one of the slightly smaller one. I've got two of my swizzle and one of the decorative. And then I've also cut out a little piece to go on top of the brad. So I need to put these together. So I'm just going to stick the two black ones together. That just gives it additional strength. And then I'm just going to pop this one on the top as my decorative one. Like so. So that's going to go on the top like that. And then I'm going to do the same with these two. Now, depending how thick this piece is, you may need more than two of these. But you'll get a feel for it as you put it together, and you might think, actually, I need a bit more than that. And you can mount this onto an ordinary one without a hole, and build it up like that. You'll see what I mean. I'm not explaining myself very well, but you'll see what I mean in a moment. And then I'm just going to pop this little thing. In fact, I'll put the glue on here this time. So these are the Cool Cats Build Your Own brads. So this is I like these because they're made from the card, so they're not going to mark the any photos because they are just card. And what I will always do with these, and I will do at the end, is just put a little bit of glossy accents on. So it gives it a shape, but it also just makes it look more metal. So this is going to go through here, and there's your swivel. It's then going to go through here, like so. And then the legs are always just that little bit too long, so you're always going to have that little bit poking out. So I just take the ends off the legs, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue under there and there, and just glue those legs down and just hold them down for a second. Now at this point, if you wanted to build it up a bit more, you could have some ordinary plain circles that you just put on the top of that. So if you've got something very, very thick, you might need to build it up so that this doesn't just bend up and it doesn't work, doesn't stick. So then I'm just going to put some glue onto here. Now I always start with it the wrong way. I would probably have centered that up, but I'm just going to do it like this. By doing it the wrong way, you can see that you know exactly where your circle is going to go, and you're just going to push that down and hold it in place. Now normally I wouldn't swivel it round, but I want to sort of demonstrate what I mean. Now that is probably as much as would hold without putting some more of those on. It's still lifting a little bit, but it's not bending this anymore, and I would want to put another circle on there. So you can build this up as much as you want to hold in place, as much as you want to hold in place, or as much as you need to hold in place. And then, as I say, I'm not sure whether I can get this out. I might have to stick a pin in it. I usually do. So there's my sticking in pin. Just take that out of there. Just poke it in to there. Just make sure it is coming out. Yes, it is. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glossy accent on the top of that. And while I've got it out, and because I've finished, and I'm not going to put my finger in it, I'm going to put a bit of glossy accent onto there as well. I'm just going to run a bit more on. Make sure I haven't got any air bubbles. Make sure it's going out right out to the edges. There we go. And leave that to dry. Right, so that's the last two of the pages. So for Coffee and Craft on Wednesday, we'll put the book together and then we'll look at the two inside covers. And then all we've got left are the front cover and the spine to do. So I hope you like those two pages. Thank you for giving up a little bit of your Friday evening for me. I hope everyone has a lovely weekend. I'm off to see my grandsons, celebrate my birthday tomorrow, and Sunday I am going to be working flat out to get some albums made for next weekend, next Saturday. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay crafty. Bye-bye.